Yes, here we are. We're back. Tuesday Talk. Sorry I missed you guys last week. Unfortunately, I got a little sinus infection, so I was down for the count for a couple days. But anyway, I'm back. No need to go into deep about that. So I think I wrote a lot of notes here on my trusty notepad. I know you guys can't see it and see what I actually wrote. It could just be scribble, but it's not. They're actual notes. And so I got a good topic here fitting for myself personally this week. And hopefully it helps a lot of you guys out there. I wrote a lot of notes, so it may very well go over the 30 minutes that I try to allot myself for these. And unfortunately, I may have to be two different parts. But it is what it is, and we'll get going on it. So here we go. So the title for this week, what I put down here, I might change it on the actual title when I post it. But the message that I'm talking about here is be uncomfortable. Now, what do I mean about that? Well, does it mean do things that are not fun? Well, sometimes. But really, be uncomfortable. There's a saying that they talk about in different gyms, especially fighter gyms, jiu-jitsu gyms, and it's wrestling gyms big time. But the saying goes, get comfortable being uncomfortable. So what that means is, not fearing being in an uncomfortable position. And it could be physically, but really this is more about how to do that in your everyday life and how to overcome these things. So basically what I have written down, what I really wanted to talk about, if you guys are listening to this, you're probably on my social media as well, and know that I have a jiu-jitsu competition coming up here this weekend. And I've been pretty honest and open about the fact that, last year I only competed the one time, and it didn't go very well for me, and not, for a lot of different reasons, but, forget weight classes and things like that. Really, I think I just probably wasn't as prepared as I should have been. So that made me nervous. This year I'm taking things on a little bit differently. But what that did was it kept me from competing the whole rest of the year because, for lack of a better way of putting it, I was afraid. Let's just call it what it is. I was afraid of that same feeling of just kind of, being smashed and manhandled, so to speak. And it just wasn't a very comfortable feeling at all. And I've been training really hard this year. But, training aside, I kind of wanted to break down what that meant, the feeling of being uncomfortable, and kind of talk about the different things of what makes us as human beings uncomfortable. There's a lot of different things depending on the situation of what it is. It could be a bunch of different things. So I wrote some things down here, and really this kind of pertains to my situation here this week going into the competition, but it really can be part... it's kind of fitting for a lot of different things. So what I wrote down here was what makes us uncomfortable. And this is not, I'm not talking about being nervous. Being nervous, that could be a number of different things as well. And that's kind of a natural reaction to the unknown, things like that. But that's actually number one, what I wrote down here as far as what makes us uncomfortable. That real feeling of being uncomfortable, of, taking us out of our comfort zone. And the number one thing I wrote down is the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what to expect. So that really kind of throws us off our game, and our minds can go running wild of what could happen, the what ifs kind of scenarios. And it can drive you crazy if you let it. So the unknown. Well, how do we battle with the unknown? I think running through different scenarios, not necessarily things that are crazy and over the top, but what realistically could happen, and preparing for all those variables as much as possible. Thinking of the different things. Well, if I was on the other side, well, if I was looking objectively, stepping away from it, what would it look like to me, and how can I address these things and be better prepared, and try to tackle on those unknowns, so that way there's less unknowns going into any given situation. And there's always going to be those things that may pop up that we're not prepared for necessarily, because we can only think of what we can. But this will actually help us be more prepared. And the least amount of unknowns that you have, I think, will definitely be a big help, a big positive for you, and take away some of that anxiety of, holy cow, what could happen? Well, what could happen? Take a look at it, analyze it, write some things down, write down how you can overcome some of those unknowns or all of those unknowns, and be prepared for those things. And if there's one or two or whatever more on top of that actually happen, well, now it's only one or two instead of 6, 7, 8, or however many that you wrote down to be more prepared. So that's what I wrote down for number one. Number two, I think it's probably a tough one for a lot of us, definitely for me, is letting people down. I've gotten so much love this week. Anytime I post something about the competition, whether it's my weight, how I'm on weight, my eating program, and the different workouts that I'm doing. A lot of people really rooting for me, and that's great. It's great motivation for me, and it's definitely a positive. But if we let it, it can turn itself into a negative because we come, overstricken with anxiety of, oh my gosh, look, now all these people are waiting to hear how I'm going to do. They're waiting to hear what the results are going to be. I don't want to let people down. I don't want people to think bad of me. I don't want people to think differently of me. And that can really, really, keep us from either A, taking the step in the first place, and B, maybe freezing in the moment of all, what could happen, and I don't want to let people down, and all the things that go through your head in the moment instead of just performing the way that you've prepared yourself. So that's definitely a hard one to overcome, I think, for a lot of people, because sometimes it's not even conscious. It's subconscious of what's going on, and you're allowing those subconscious thoughts to really creep in and affect your performance on the day, or to even just affect your preparation. You start worrying about things that are A, out of your control anyway, and B, takes you away from what you should be focusing on, which is your plan of attack, the things that you can prepare for, the things that you can positively affect. So it's definitely one to pay attention to. It's one that I'm trying really hard not to let affect me. Of course, for me, the people in my life, all of you out there who listen to this, and people that I have surrounding me, I know they're not going to think differently. I know they're not going to be like, oh my gosh, Eric was talking all that smack and here he goes, and he just gets whooped up in the first round, whatever plays out, it's not going to happen. But, if you let those negative thoughts creep in, I'm definitely trying to, I shouldn't even say trying to, I don't really focus on those things too much. It's definitely a thought, but I'm really more focused on, as long as I go out there and give it my all and perform the way I know I can, that's my number one focus. Think about, well, I'll get into that here in a little bit. So, but letting people down, I'm usually pretty good about not focusing on that too much, but I know it's a big problem for a lot of people of, just what it is, not letting people down. And most people, when you surround yourself with good people, those people, you're not going to let them down. They're going to support you no matter what. They're going to be there for you. Of course, they want to hear how you did. They want to hear how everything's going or how it went, how it goes. But it doesn't mean it changes how they think of you. And internally, I think we feel like it might, or they'll kind of, look at us like, well, yeah, you tried, but whew, did you really have to go out like that? All those kind of negative thoughts. And of course, if you surround yourself with good people in your life, that's not how it goes. They love you, they support you, and they're going to do it again over and over again as long as you keep getting out there and trying and doing your best. So, but it's definitely one to pay attention to, especially if you know that's something that you do struggle with. And number 3 I have is we doubt our abilities. Is our skill set, is the abilities that we have, whether it's mental, physical, whatever it is that whatever endeavor that you're going into, is it enough to be successful, in the realm that I want to be successful in? And it doesn't mean necessarily winning, whether it's winning this competition, the tournament, or what have you, or if this pertains to your goals, personal goals, and the goal that you set and you have, whether it's a big deal that you're trying to get, or a big client that you're trying to get, or trying to get a certain certification to go into a new industry, performing on that day to get to that point, doubting your abilities can be another mental block that we have in achieving the goals that we set. So how do we not doubt? How do we have confidence in our abilities? Well, it's preparation, right? If it's studying, if it's training, if it's practicing, if it's mental, vision, using positive visions to see yourself performing at the top level, to see yourself passing that test, to see yourself getting that certification, or winning your competition. Visualization is huge. It's key. You have to believe, truly believe that you can do it. Truly believe that you deserve it. I mean, that's, when I first started this podcast, there was a part of me that was just like, do I even deserve to be doing this? Who am I, right? Well, it doesn't matter whether I deserve it necessarily. I'm doing it because I enjoy doing it, because I want to do it. So you set forth out to go out there and do those things. But a lot of these endeavors, you have to believe that you deserve to be there, and you have to believe that you deserve the accolades, that you deserve to win. You deserve the certification. You deserve the promotion, whatever you're working towards. You have to believe that you deserve those things. So don't let that doubt in your abilities. If you have true doubt because you feel like your abilities don't match up to competitors or what have you, that's, work on those things. Those are things that you can affect and you should be working on. But once you've done the work, you've done the preparation, all that's left is to go out there and perform on whatever stage it is, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's at the workplace, or whether it's in a gym, or in an actual tournament competition. Once it's time to go out there and perform, if you believe in your training and you did all you can and you set forth a good game plan and you didn't leave anything on the table, there's nothing to doubt. I know it's a natural thing that we do as human beings, but then you just have to believe in yourself. So, kind of along that same note, is we start to question, did we prepare enough? In the physical realm, there's a such thing of overtraining. You train so hard, so much that you actually tire yourself out going into the competition, and then you can't perform on the day because your body's so worn down. And mentally, we do that as well. I know, you hear countless stories of people that you knew, whether it was in college, high school, or even recently. They study, they stay up late, they don't get any sleep, they're drinking coffee or drinking Jolt Cola. Shout out to Jolt Cola for the people who grew up in the 80s. What? Anyway, so, they're just constantly studying, that they study themselves out, and they're so exhausted mentally, they're so drained that they didn't get proper sleep. And all of a sudden they can't perform on the day. They draw blanks inside their mind. I can't think. Physically, I can't perform. My body's not moving the way I know that it can. Whew, man. So did you prepare enough, but also knowing when to taper it off, to give yourself the rest that it needs, your body and your mind, especially your mind, the rest that it needs to go into the competition, the test, the certification, whatever you're working towards, in the best mind frame, the best physical shape that you can to perform the best that you can. But only you know that. You know what your abilities are. You know if you're being lazy, you're not pushing hard enough, or if you're trying to push too hard and you need to back off a little bit and say, you know what, I'm going to take this night off. I'm going to rest mentally, physically. Tomorrow I'll hit it hard again once I get a good night's sleep. So you got to figure that out for yourself. And then the other thing is, did we bite off more than we can chew? I set this goal, right? Eric, you told me to write these goals down. I wrote them down. I'm going to achieve it. But then you start wondering, did I bite off more than I can chew? Maybe. We do that, and that's okay. Sometimes that's part of the learning process. And maybe you didn't. Maybe you just think that you did, or you don't know if you did. But if you do these other things, you battle all of these obstacles. You work hard, you prepare, you set a good game plan, and then now you go out, and now you're gonna lay it all out on the line to see, and did I do it? And a lot of times I think we'll find that we didn't bite off more than we can chew. It was just enough, or hey, I probably could have done more. Hey, now the next time I know I can push a little bit harder. I can push a little bit further. So, but that'll creep in your head, while you're preparing and going into whatever endeavor that you are. Did I bite off more than I can chew? Is this too big of a project for me to handle? Can I really take on this amount of business? All businesses, when they're growing, I'm sure they question that at some point. Am I growing too fast? Am I doing too much? I don't know how to scale to this size, but they figure it out. And then sure, there's speed bumps along the way, and there's challenges, and maybe they lose an account because they couldn't, they did bite off more than they could chew. But in the big picture of things, it pays off for them. So sometimes you wonder that, but it can obviously be a good thing as well to push past what you think your real threshold is and actually end up further along than what you thought you could. The final thing I wrote down is I think the big question, what if I fail? What if I fail? What do I do then? Then who am I? Then what was this all for? All the training, all the studying, all the practice, all the time away from my family, all the time away from doing things that I wanted to do, hanging out with friends. What was this all for if I fail? Was it even worth it? That's a tough one, right? I think it's a tough one because you want it to mean something. You want all the time away from your family and all the sweat and the tears and the blood and the studying and your headaches from your brain throbbing from pushing so hard. Not eating when you're supposed to be eating because you're just pushing. Was it all worth it? And something my mom told me a long time ago. So I went to college for a year, and I flunked out of college. And I was like, man, this is what I was supposed to do. This my whole life. I was told you graduate high school and you go to college. And I knew it cost a lot of money that my parents had been saving for a long time. And when I had to tell my parents that I flunked out of college, I was like, I failed. I failed them. I failed myself. I felt like a failure. And so I had to tell my parents. And I told them, when the report cards actually finally showed up, and I started crying. And I told them, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I failed you. I'm so sorry. I know you saved all this money, and this is what I was supposed to do after high school, and I didn't do it. I didn't put forth my best effort, and it shows here, and I flunked out. I said, I'm so sorry I failed you guys. I'm so sorry. I feel like a failure. And my mom just put her arm around me. I'll never forget. She wasn't mad. She wasn't like, what the hell, dude? Come on. It cost us thousands of dollars. It was none of that. She just put her arm around me, and she hugged me, and she said, Mijito, you only fail when you fail to keep trying. And immediately I felt better. Still crying, but I felt better, and it meant something. And I knew she meant it. She wasn't just trying to make me feel better. She truly meant it. And so ever since then, that's how I've approached so many things. And it's always kind of rang in the back of my head. You only fail when you fail to keep trying. So that's something I'm, from my wonderful mother to me, and then to all of you out there. We're gonna fall short. We're gonna, however you define the word fail. If it means you didn't get the job, if the promotion, you didn't get the big account, you didn't, if I don't win this tournament, it doesn't mean that you fail as a person. It doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It doesn't mean that any of you are failures out there. It means we failed to reach the pinnacle at that point. But we can keep pushing and moving forward, right? It becomes a learning experience. Because if you don't learn from this experience, and you don't, take that opportunity to say, okay, here's where I fell short. Now I can improve on this and move forward and be better for the future. If you don't learn, well, then that's the failure, is that you didn't learn from it. But you're not a failure as a human being, as a person. You're not a failure as a worker. You're not a failure as a provider for your family. And you're not a failure as a competitor. You just came up short. And does it mean, maybe it means the other person was more prepared. Maybe it means they just got luckier. Maybe it just means that it just wasn't your time right now. That's okay. Fill in the gaps of where you fell short and learn from the experience. Take what you've learned, what the full real experience. Wow, I didn't realize it was so fast. I didn't realize it was going to be so intense. I didn't realize this test was going to be so difficult. Boy, next time I take this test, the next time I go and compete, the next time I go in for this job interview, I'm going to nail it because now I know what to expect. And I think that's the right way to approach falling short or failure, whatever you want to call it. They're just words. But whatever it means to you, how you're going to move forward from that point. And that's the note that I wrote down here. It's okay to falter. It's okay to come up short. It's a hard one to say. I fucking hate losing, man. It's okay to lose if you just lose this one and learn from it and grow and get better as a person. Get better as a competitor. Get better as a worker. Get better as a provider for your family, as a friend. Whatever it is. It's okay right now as long as you grow from it and you learn from it. And it's hard. Man, it's so hard. Because in that moment, that pit in your stomach, I always feel like it's like this warm or this hot feeling even that starts at the top of my head and goes all the way down my body, and it makes me sick to my stomach, and it hurts so bad. And it's supposed to hurt. It's supposed to hurt. If it feels good, that's not good. Okay, it's supposed to hurt because that hurt, that pit in your stomach, that heat, that whatever it is that's going on internally in your body, that disgusting feeling is that it becomes a fire. Then I got to get back to the gym. I got to hit the books again. I got to prepare better for my job. Obviously, I thought I was really good at it. I'm not as good as I thought. So I'm going to get to it, and I'm going to become better because that becomes that fire on saying, instead of watching an hour of TV or taking a nap or going out and playing or sitting around doing nothing or playing video game, whatever it is that's taking up time in your day, that fire, that pit in your stomach will say, not doing that right now. I'm working on this right now. I'm working on me right now. I'm working on getting better. Because that pit in my stomach, man, that's the worst. I'd rather be socked in the face. So, I hate feeling like I let myself down. So, that's you got to turn that into that fire. So, but all that contributes to that uncomfortable feeling when you're trying to achieve your goals. When you're trying to, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, right? You set your goals. Now you're going to achieve them. Now you're uncomfortable because you're like, oh shit, I'm doing things. I'm not used to doing this. I'm not used to having this in my life now. I'm not used to having this challenge. I'm not used to, what if I don't make it? What if I fail? What if everyone's gonna laugh at me, right? Like in the movie Carrie, they're all gonna laugh at you. Who cares? Who cares if people laugh? Who cares if people say you can't do it? Who cares if people go, you thought you were gonna win? You ain't gonna win. Who cares? Don't worry about those people, okay? Because those people shouldn't be in your life anyway, right? But if they're on the outskirts of a friend of a friend or whatever, and they're giving you grief or whatever, don't worry about those people. Their opinions really don't matter. So that uncomfortable feeling, it's okay. That's how we grow. And I don't know about you guys. I want to grow. Not just because I'm 5'6". Haha. I know you guys are saying that. But I want to grow as a human being. I want to look back in a month from now, especially a year from now, and go, I'm better than I was. I'm better than when I was when I did that one Tuesday talk, talking about being uncomfortable. I'm way better than that guy was. I was telling some friends not too long ago, I was talking about how, I was looking at my weight class. I was looking at the kind of shape that I'm in, mentally, physically. My diet's, really, really good. And I looked and I was like, man, I'm in better shape now than I was in all of I'm 42 years old. I'm competing at, this level. And I'm in way better shape than I was in my 30s and even a lot of my 20s. I beat the shit out of my former self in all of those years, right? Even though I was younger, but I'm in better shape now. I'm more focused now. I'm more driven now. So that's a good thing, you know. So that's what we want. We want growth. We want to keep pushing more and more all the time, becoming a better person overall, challenging ourselves. I mean, to me, that's fun. You challenge yourself. You hit that challenge. You reach that challenge. You're like, holy cow! What else can I do? Right? It's almost like it becomes a superpower. Oh, I can do this now. What else can I do? This is amazing. So, the other note. So, when you do that, right, you not only you challenge yourself, right? So you were here at this point when you're keeping your abilities and hitting certain goals. You set these goals. You hit up here. Not only now do you know that you can hit this point, right? Because now you can push even further, even higher, which is great. But your capacity for being uncomfortable, your capacity for taking on challenges, your capacity for overcoming crazy obstacles, that increases. That's a crazy awesome thing. Because we like to think right now, as we are right now, well, I can only take so much, right? I can only take so much struggle and heartache and stuff. But when you take all that on and you exceed that, well, now you know, well, obviously I can take that on. How much more can I take on? How much can I really push? To me, that's a mind blower for me. I thought about that today. When I wrote that down, I was so excited writing that down because it's like how you grow exponentially. That's why, because your capacity for what you can take on increases. Think about that. You know, if you think about capacity in the sense of a jug, right? So you start off with a gallon jug. You have a gallon jug of what you believe that you can take on, what you believe that you can overcome. And then you take on a gallon and a half and you're still good and you achieve those goals. All of a sudden you're like, a gallon, that ain't shit. I can take on 2 gallons. I can take on a 5-gallon jug now. And then you hit that, and you reach those plateaus and you reach those points. A 5-gallon jug, that's nothing. I'll take on a 55-gallon drum. And so on and so on. And the more you push, the more you do, the more you can take on, and the bigger your capacity grows. You're taking on, tanker trucks, oil tankers in the ocean, to the point to where you don't even know how much you can take on. You're like, bring it. I don't know. Bring it. Bring me more. Feed me, Seymour. So, to me, that was a mind blower. So that was really cool. When I thought about that today, that was exciting for me. So. And doing those things, it forces you to look at your goals and obstacles that you have. It forces you to look at those things differently, and to not look at them as this negative thing. You start looking at those things like, wow, I can't wait. You wake up every day. Here we go, baby. Here we go. It's time to take on the day. It's time to take on these challenges. I already know what I can. These challenges here in the past, I took those on, left those in the dust. What else is coming? Bring it. I'm ready. That's fun, man. That's exciting. And that really helps you become better at preparing on how to take on these challenges. You become this, you plan better. You start thinking about things differently. You start strategizing differently, saying, wow, well, last time I wasn't prepared for this. Now that I see what can happen, okay, what else can happen? You start coming at from different angles and looking at the thing from a whole 360 degree of how to overcome these challenges or this one specific challenge. And you start filling in those gaps, filling in those holes of where you fell short before. You start thinking about all these things now. You're chomping away at all these things, and you're just boom, 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 firing. And all of a sudden, when these challenges come up now, you've already hit all the points. You already know. And you got better at that. So then the next challenge, you're even better. So it's just an exponential growth. That's exciting for me. What else do we got here? Oh. So I kind of touched on it a little bit before here. I was talking about as you start going through the process of achieving goals, and that's what makes you uncomfortable. That's a good thing. It's a good thing because if you know you can do it, like you can walk, you're just walking around every day. I know I can walk. I can walk from here to the front door, no problem. That's not a challenge. You don't even feel, so you don't feel good about that. You're just like, all right, I can walk. That's great. You don't want your goals to feel that way. You don't want them to feel like, oh, of course, this is a no-brainer. This is nothing. You want it to be uncomfortable. You want it to be, whew, this is a big one. All right, here we go. I'm ready to take it on. Not that you don't want it to make you shy away. You want that, but you want just enough uncomfortability that you're like, okay, take a deep breath. Here we go. I'm ready to take it on. And I prepared. I got my game plan going. But I don't know. I don't know how it's going to turn out. Let's do it. So that's a good thing. It's good to feel that, to get those little nervous, butterflies in your stomach, the unknown of what's going to happen. So I think talking about these things, all the different, potential things that could lead to you feeling uncomfortable in any given situation about any goal that you're setting. Examine these things one by one. Take them on. Write them down. Okay, I'm worried about this. I'm worried about this. Write those things down. How are you going to attack these things? Right? You're just like if you were a general in an army. If you're a coach of a major sporting team. Hey, if they're going to come at us this way, how are we going to prepare? What about if they come at us this way? Well, we got to prepare for that. Well, what about this way? We got to prepare for that. That's how you should be attacking these things. Don't let just the fact of being uncomfortable keep you from setting your game plan. Examine the list. Is it the unknown? Yep. Okay. Check. How am I going to attack the unknown? Okay. Am I confident in my abilities? I feel confident in my abilities. Okay. So I don't have to worry about that one. Did I bite off more than I can chew? Maybe, but I still feel confident. Okay, great. I don't have to worry about that one. Am I worried about letting people down? Well, yeah, that's a big one. Okay. How am I going to keep that from happening? Well, I'm surrounded by good people. They love me no matter what. But am I really worried about other things and that's how it's manifesting? Okay, well, let's write that down and let's attack it that way. But be honest with yourself about it. If you really truly are worried about letting people down, but you don't know or really understand why, dive deeper into that. Really take some time. Think about it. If it's laying in your bed, if it's listening to music, if it's going for a drive, whatever it is, how you can really examine that and understand what's going on the underlying surface there, examine it and figure it out so you don't have that extra anxiety you're preparing for it. I already went through all that. That was as you continue to grow, your capacity for growth increases. That's a big one. And the things that used to make you uncomfortable no longer do. Therefore, you can take on much more, right? We talked about that. Yeah,